New Employee Orientation. But everything at Microsoft is an acronym, so we call it NEO. And the folks are always, they have lots of different sessions in that day, and one of these sessions is mine. And I tell them about this. I tell them the story, and I talk to them about learning. It's a famous fable, and you might have heard it already. It's about a Boilermaker. And this Boilermaker was hired to fix a huge steamship boiler system that wasn't working very well. So the first person he met is the engineer who has been toiling for days trying to fix the system, and he can't. And so he's listening to the description and the problems and asking a few questions. And then at some point he said, "Do you mind if I see the boiler room myself?" And of course, he gets to get introduced into the room so that he can do his own assessment. And so the first thing he does is he stops and he looks at it. He's trying to take it all in. He's watching the different engines, the gauges, the pipes, the wires, connecting them all. And then he walks around a little bit, and then he stops and he listens. He's listening to the thump of the machine and the hissing sound of the steam escaping. And then he starts walking around some more and started using another senses like the touch. So he's putting his hand, feeling the sensation and the vibrations of the machine at different parts. Which parts are hot? Which are cold? Is there any kind of condensation? And then he walks around some more and he gets to a certain point and he stops and he opens up his toolbox and takes out a little hammer, and then he taps a valve once. And immediately the entire system begins working perfectly, and the Boilermaker went home. When the steamship owner received the bill of $1,000, he was enraged, and he was going, how can he justify $1,000 for the 5-10 minutes that he was in the boiler room? So he requested an itemized bill. So the Boilermaker sent him a bill that reads as follows. For tapping the valve, it costs you $1. But for knowing where to tap, that's what costs you the balance of the $1,000. I conclude by telling them the moral of the story. This gentleman lives his life continuously learning about this magnificent machine. And this learning allowed him to achieve more without putting in the crazy hours that engineer had to put in. It also allowed him to increase his value and charge whatever he wants. It also made him marketable and always in demand. And my dream is when people hear this story, like you are, that you would like to be like him. And you recognize that the learning is the path to getting there. And that you start loving learning for the sake of learning. And that is one of the topics that I want to talk to you about today. At Microsoft, we call it growth mindset, and we've learned it from Dr. Carol Dweck and her famous book, Mindset. Growth mindset at its core is based on the belief that potential is nurtured and not predetermined. I'll say that again. Potential is nurtured and not predetermined. And what does that mean? That means that knowledge and abilities could always be acquired. And that in of itself is a great concept, very, very powerful, because if you don't believe that knowledge can be acquired, then you either have it or you don't. And if you have it, then you're one of the lucky ones, and that's good for you. But if you don't, then too bad, because again, if you don't believe that it can be acquired, then you'll stay labeled for good that you are not that great. I used to work, like Ahmed was saying, I used to work in the consulting services or organization some time back with Microsoft, and I used to manage a lot of project managers. And a project would come in and I would assign somebody to the project, and the account team sometimes would say, no, we don't want this project manager on this project. It's such an important project and I want somebody much more senior. That is labeling. That is labeling somebody that they will stay junior, they will stay not that great for the rest of their career. And my response to that at the time was I will pair that junior project manager with somebody a little bit more senior who they will give them a fraction of their time, but they will coach, they will nurture, they will help them, and they will teach them how to become a great project manager because I could see the potential in that. And that is growth mindset. Because with growth mindset, we do not give up on anyone. But one thing I want to tell you, it doesn't happen automatically. Like you can't say, I've got growth mindsets, and then all of a sudden you've become very capable and very knowledgeable. It doesn't work that way, trust me. So what comes with it is that you have to put a growth plan. So growth is always intentional and not accidental or by accident. So what does that mean? Let me give you this quote, and then hopefully that will make it clearer. Learning is like rowing upstream. Not to advance means you will drop back. So don't make growth mindset a slogan or a cliche or a catchphrase. It has to be a commitment for you to you. Basically, you have to believe it, live it, and apply it. And so you need to put a plan together, a development plan. And it has to be specific enough that you can track your progress and hold yourself accountable to it. It should include what you're learning and what are the milestones that you're going to hit, but sometimes not just that. Who are you connecting with? Who's your network? Who are you going to learn from? It also, what are the events that you're attending? What are the books that you are reading? What other means of growing are you adding to your plan to achieve the goal that you are trying to achieve? And you, as I said, it has to have milestones so that you can take stock and reassess and say, is this plan working? Is it not working? You don't want to wait for a year and then discover that the plan was off track. You want to make sure that you've got milestones all across the way that will actually help you kind of refine and fine-tune your plan as you go. But I want to keep these two tips in mind always while you are on your path of growth. One is this power of yet. What does that mean? Again, we talked about labeling, right? We don't want to be labeled. That means that, for instance, if somebody is not at the level that we are expecting, we want to always attach the word yet at the end. Maybe this person is not there yet, but they have the potential of getting there. So you, as someone who is building their own growth and development plan, do not label yourself. Sometimes we do that, right? Like we say, I don't know anything about AI. Oh, I don't know. I'm not a security guy. I am not this. I'm not that, right? And we want to make sure that these type of messages, you're not believing in them. So if you ever say that, make sure that you attach the word yet, meaning I am working on it. I'm going to get there because I have a growth mindset and I'm working really hard to make sure that I'm putting my plan in place and I will get to where I want to get. If you really believe that, I'll give you some more tips as we go for the rest of this session. I think you will actually get there. So always think about this, the power of yet. You're not there today, but you will be there in the future. And this yet is that connection between the position that you're in today versus where you will get to. And now the other one that I also want to make sure that people are aware of is learn to spot your fixed mindset. You will never be, I just used the word never, which I shouldn't be. So the people are not all growth mindset or all fixed mindset, but sometimes you're of growth mindset in certain areas and a fixed mindset in others. And so some of the things that kind of tips that you can catch yourself is that if you use, I am always and whatever that is, or I'm never that something, and or you start getting very angry at a topic that should not get, you shouldn't get so worked up, or you have a very aggressive reaction to an opinion or something like that. All these are triggers that you should kind of reflect on. You should stop, you should take stock again, and you should say, why am I getting so agitated? Why is my reaction so strong? You will find that at the core of that, there is a fixed mindset that is being challenged, that is being pushed, that you are feeling that somebody is almost sometimes attacking you. And you will find the easier ones is sometimes where, your political affiliation or the team that you're rooting for, or this or that. Sometimes we are so engrossed in the way we are thinking that we are not willing to listen to any other opinion. And everything else we shut out or we put our blinders on, and we're not willing to entertain any other ideas. That is fixed mindset, and that stops us from growing. So always, my opinion is when you feel any of these, make sure that you kind of stop, reflect, and go, maybe I need to kind of listen to this. Maybe I need to open my mind. Maybe I want to hear this other person's opinion. So growth mindset is only a mindset. Now you need to put that to application, right? And so the very first resource that I wanted to share with you is this AI Skills Navigator. AI Skills Navigator is a program that we've put together at Microsoft, and it's available to everyone. And it is in cooperation with LinkedIn Learning. And so there is a lot of courses out of this program that is on LinkedIn Learning, and it's open for free to everybody. So there is a select amount of courses that I want to switch to here so that I can actually put it in the chat for you, the link. So there is a select.
I already did, Magdi.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. So there are a select amount of courses on LinkedIn Learning that are open to the public, and they are free. And the ones that you will hit when you are on this AI Skills Navigator are all free and open. So what you do with this is that you hit find your skills path, and what it will open up is kind of like a very short survey asking you guided questions so that it can build a learning plan for you to follow. So basic questions. What is it that you're trying to do? What is your current level of expertise? Where do you want to go? And so on. And it will build a plan for you. And then you can navigate that plan module by module or course by course. And by the end of it, you will have at least achieved, one path of learning. And then you can come back again and create another path and so on and so forth. And you can learn all what is available. And this is specifically AI, and it's specifically for the novice or beginner level, foundational level. Okay? So this is one, and thank you, Ahmed, for putting the URL. And I will switch back to my presentation. Oops, I need to switch back to the presentation. There we go. So this is my first resource, right? And the point that I wanted to kind of conclude, the very first point for this call today, is that growth mindset is, again, a mindset. It's a label. It's a kind of like something to aspire to, but it will never do you any good unless you actually put it to practice. So at Microsoft, we call it become a learn-it-all. So you continuously put yourself in this beginner's mindset where you're always curious, you're always learning, and you're putting this growth plan, development plan, and you're working at it. Time for poll number 2. A little bit about, again, limiting yourself back to the point that we were making. So let me tell you the story. This old gentleman that is sitting there has this habit of daily going to the pond and fishing. This is the time where he kind of connects with nature and the kind of the tranquility and the water and the sun, and he's just enjoying himself day in and day out. And then one day, this young little kid shows up to the same spot where this gentleman was fishing. And he was on the opposite side of the pond, And he found the gentleman was how diligent he was. He's throwing in his fishing rod, he's pulling it back and getting a lot of fish. But every time he picks up a fish, he actually measures it, and sometimes he throws it back in the pond, sometimes he keeps it in his cooler. And so the gentleman started looking a little bit more intently at the kid to kind of watch him, observe what he's doing. And then he's found that there is this kind of odd thing that he does. He measured the fish and he throws the big fish back and he keeps only the small fish in his cooler. So that really puzzled the old man. And he basically said, okay, I need to find out what is going on here and why is this kid doing that? So he got up and walked over to this to the kid and he says, son, I've been observing you for a while, and every time you catch a fish, you measure it. But the odd thing is that you throw the big ones and you keep the small ones. Why do you do that? And so the little kid answers, I've only got, oh my goodness, the wording did not, here we go, it shows now. I've only got a 7-inch frying pan. And so this is kind of the idea that, and again, it's a fable, it's not a true story, but the reality is sometimes this is how we deal with things as well, don't we? Right? We sometimes focus on what we know today, and this is kind of back to the point of, am I an expert or not? We focus on what we are today, and we decide that that's where we are, and that's it. Instead, and that limits all our possibilities. We shut ourselves out of a lot of opportunities because we have decided that where we are today is the limit of where we will get to. Instead, again, use that power of yet and work hard to put a plan to go beyond that. One of the things that that is very common in any kind of negotiation course is the advice is that never negotiate with yourself. What does that mean? Let's say, for instance, you're going to buy a car and you come in, let's say the car was $20,000, just for the sake of the story, and you've only got 12. So instead of making the offer at 12,000, you go, you know what, that's going to be so low. He's going to ridicule me and he's going to kick me out of the dealership. You know what, I'm not even going to make it offer. What happens? What happens is you are guaranteed not to get that car, right? There might be other possibilities out there. There might be kind of things that you might be able to do, whether it's financing, whether it's kind of trading something else in. Maybe there's lots of other options. But what we did is we negotiated ourselves out of the deal and we guaranteed ourselves not getting that car. So again, same exact idea. If you apply this to this case, go get a bigger pan, right? So, and even with the smaller pan, the kid could have, cut up the fish. Could be like there is endless possibilities if we are willing to think through what those options are. So, my advice here out of this piece is make sure that you don't limit yourself and don't negotiate with yourself out of possibilities. In his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear teaches us all about building new habits. It's a great book, by the way. I recommend you going and reading it. It teaches a lot about building new habits. Now, in that book, he actually says one of the best techniques of building new habits is that you have to assume the identity of whoever it is that you want to become. So let's say you want to start a workout routine. You don't want to say, I'm just, going to start the habit of going to the gym and working out. He wants you to start thinking about, I am an athlete. That's my identity. I am an athlete. And an athlete needs to work out. They work out every single day and they put in the hours and they're at it every day with a certain routine, with a certain regimen. And so, for instance, let's say you're learning golf. You start saying, I'm a golfer. And that means that I will go every, day. I'm going to practice that many times. I'm going to go out and get a coach or whatever it is that you're going to do. But I am a golfer. I'm a runner. I am an AI expert. right? So you start putting yourself in that mindset. And once you do that, you start building that habit because now it's part of your identity. So you're proud of it. You feel that it's part of who you are. And so you don't let it go easily. It will not slip away, or you won't kind of just relax about it because it is part of who you are and it's part of who you have become. And that way it keeps you going longer. So, although you might not be an AI expert yet, it is only a matter of time. And with a lot of learning and practice, you should get there. Okay, so I wanted to give you another resource that I think is extremely rich with all the AI learning plans. And again, I can take the URL and I can put it in the chat window for you so that you can click on it and get to it right away. And same idea. I'm trying to, sorry, let me just get to it quickly. It's here. Same idea where there are plans that are already built for you. So here, for instance, you can just click on this, and this is again AI fundamentals if you are down here. And I don't mean a specific course called AI fundamentals, but it's for again somebody who is just starting their AI journey. Or you start getting into topics like responsible AI, which is areas of AI that are not as getting as much attention as they should. So this is an area that I would love to, think about and talk to you about even further in the future as well. Responsible AI is something that it's not mainstream. People always think, I want to learn AI, I want to grow in AI, I want to become a coder, I want to do this, I want to do that. But responsible AI is the last thing that comes to mind. And you can see even the political climate that we're in, there are kind of two sides of the extremes. People don't care at all about responsible AI and they're moving as fast as possible in AI, and others that are really tying themselves down so much because they want to be very responsible in AI, and so they're slowing themselves really, really slow, and they're falling behind. So two extremes are really bad, but the idea is having some sort of standards and governance in place to make sure that AI is done responsibly is a good idea. So you becoming an expert, that is going to be a niche. So it's something that you should consider. Not necessarily become an AI expert, but an expert in responsible AI. So some of these fringe technologies or areas of expertise within AI could give you an edge because you won't find as much competition. Generative AI, of course, that's all the rage these days. So definitely part of what you should be learning, and so on. And there is also what you can do, and what I wanted to show you. Um, it's in the next one that I'll show you next, where you can actually create your own. So these are all plans that are pre-made for you. And it's good because these are done by Microsoft and they are continuously updated. So you can click on any of those and it will be pre-built for you. But if you come back in a month or two, it will be updated with the latest and greatest. And then the last resource that I wanted to show you is this one. This is Microsoft Learn, and it is everything that we have. This is kind of our main resource for everything learning at Microsoft. Every single technology that we have, you will find it on Microsoft Learn. And so bookmark this link that I've just shared with you because this is where you should be, coming back again and again to get the latest and greatest. Even our learning partners come here to download all the latest courseware. So the ones that they're teaching, we consolidated everything into one resource, and this is it, Microsoft Learn. And this is the one that I wanted to show you where, again, there is a lot of collections by default already done from learning paths, but you can create your personalized learning plan. And similar to the AI skills navigator, when you click on a create a plan with AI, again, we'll ask you a few questions. And based on where you are today, what is it that you're trying to accomplish, it will build a plan for you. Definitely something that I really recommend you doing. Okay, I want to get back to my presentation. I've got one more poll to ask you. Again, similar to the same deal that we've done in the first two polls. What is your approach to accomplishing anything? Do you spend a lot of time planning? That's okay. So I see Kamal already put in A. You plan every single detail and then you start. Or do you work on it a little by little and kind of find your way? Or do you lock yourself in a room and people pass stuff under the door and that you're not leaving the room until you become the expert? Or you work on it until you give up, right? So these are kind of the options, and some of them, as you can imagine, some of these are answers that I've made up just for the fun of it, just so that we can kind of smile while we're reading the answers. But the point that here is it's all the way from I'm going to spend a lot of time planning in advance versus I'm going to jump in versus I'm going to work tirelessly until I get there and so on. I see a lot of B coming in, work on it a little. And that is actually where I wanted you to go, which is fantastic because this is sorry. I wanted to give you an approach that will help you accomplish anything. And I cannot claim credit for this at all. This is an approach that I have learned from a gentleman called John Maxwell. John Maxwell is a leadership guru, and I listen to his podcast on a daily basis. And one of the stories that he or approaches that he has taught me is this one. It's called the power of five. And so here's the deal. Let's say you want to cut down the tree in your backyard. So you pick up the axe and you take 5 swings at it, and then you put it down and that was it for today. And then you come back the following day and you pick up the axe and you take this and you hit the same tree with 5 swings at it. And then you put the axe down and then you go home. And then the following day, you go back to the same tree, pick up the axe, take 5 swings at it, and that's it. Eventually, the tree will come down. It might take a few weeks, months, even years depending on the size of the tree, but it will come down. And in this little scenario, there is 5 things that have to happen so that you'll be able to accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So let's go through them. Number 1, know what you want to accomplish. And that might sound very obvious, like come on, like I know exactly what I'm. No, you don't. My point is make sure that you really, really understand the why. Why are you doing this? I heard one person, a friend of mine once told me this story. He said, I went to the gym and this is one of the first time he goes to the gym and he hired a trainer. And the first question that the trainer asked him, he said, why are you here? And he goes, I want to start working out. And he goes, why? He goes, well, I want to become fit. And he goes, why? He said, well, I want to live a healthier life. And the trainer goes, why? And he was kind of getting frustrated, but he goes, what do you mean why? I want to live longer. He said, why? And finally it dawned on him that he needs to understand and build his why to make sure that he will stay committed to it. And at some point he said, you know what? The reason why I want to be healthy is I want to see my kids grow up. I want to see them getting married. I want to be there for them, to coach them and guide them along the way. I want to be there for their kids and become a grandpa or whatever. And only then there was a meaning. There was something. There was a purpose. The why was very clear. And that builds the commitment. That builds the intent of why you want to do something. Now, the how, which is the details of the plan, it does not have to be there fully yet. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be that specific. In fact, a lot of these learning or leadership gurus say, be very clear on the vision, the why, but be flexible on the how. Because sometimes if you are trying to nail down the how, it will again stop you from being able to tap into opportunities that will come up on the way because you've built your path and you don't want to look around you. And if you're so, again, narrow focused on your plan, and if you've started it wrong because you didn't know enough about the topic, then you might not get to where you want to be. So be very, very clear and specific about the vision, but be flexible on the route to get there. And the more you learn, the more you will get to define the how as it goes. So number one, make sure that you know what is it that you want to accomplish. Number two, take action. Again, sounds very obvious. So, um, but let me kind of demonstrate the point that I want to make here. If you go out and look at the tree, but don't swing at it, will anything happen? If you go to the gym and don't work out, will anything happen? No. So sometimes we sit down and we think about the dream, we tell people about it, we fine tune it every day, we are so excited, but we're actually not taking action. And we put it down, we admire it, but that is not going to accomplish much. So always take action. You know, Nike has this slogan, it says, just do it. That is what, again, I encourage you to do. Just do it. And if I take this analogy just a little further, you might need to adjust your swinging technique, for instance, right? But you won't know that until you actually start swinging. So once you start swinging, that's when you will start saying, you know what, something is not right here. I need to fix it. I need to tweak it. I need to, and that's where you will know because you started by taking action. So number one, know what you want to do. Two, take action. Number three, make sure that you've got the right tool. So think about it again. So if you go to the tree um, and um, and swing a bat at it 5 times, will anything happen to this tree? Not really. What makes the swinging effective is the axe. So the tool that you're using makes all the difference. And if you use the wrong tool, then again, you might not get the results that you are looking for. You might get some results sometimes, but you will not get the ultimate results that you want because you've got the wrong tool. So you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the commitment, diligence, and everything else, but you're not getting anywhere. And that you should stop again and examine, do you have the right tool in your hand or not? And of course, a tool, the tool is a metaphor, right? So let's say, for instance, you're learning AI. Again, I keep on coming back to the practical example because I want to make sure that you are connecting the dots. Let's say, for instance, you want to be a developer in AI. But if you start learning a programming language that is no longer relevant or is so niche and so complicated, you might not get where you want to be in the right time, or it will take you much, much longer and you won't get the results that you want to. Vibe coding, I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with that term. Vibe coding is coding using tools, AI tools, where you actually control it all by your prompt. So you need to learn how to prompt really well, but through the prompting, you give it enough context and it generates the code for you. And so now anybody who's got just this sense of coding and understanding software, they could start to become developers. So my advice, for instance, in that one is if you want to become a developer and you're starting from scratch, go the vibe coding route first And then once you start getting in, because once you take a look at the code that is generated, then you can open it up and start understanding a little bit. Because with the context of the things that you are trying to do, you might start recognizing patterns and you learn the language behind it. That would be a much faster way. It's the right tool for you to use. So, right, sometimes also the right tool could be a person. Let's say, for instance, you need a coach or a tutor or a mentor or somebody else to help you on your journey. Make sure you're making these adjustments while you are trying things out. So keep that in mind while you're building your approach to, again, accomplishing anything. So number one, be very clear on what you're trying to accomplish. Number two, take action. Number three, make sure that you've got the right tool in your hand. Number four, stay focused. Really hard these days. Really, really hard. But if you noticed, while I was kind of telling you, giving you the scenario or the little story, I kept on saying the same tree. You have to go back to the same tree. What happens if today you pick one tree, tomorrow you pick another tree, third day you pick a third tree, and so on, and you go around hitting different trees every single day? What will happen? You will injure all the trees in your backyard and none of them will come down. So again, are you putting in the effort? You are. You're absolutely putting in the effort, and you're putting in the commitment, and you're taking action, and all the things that we've said so far. But again, you're not staying focused because you're getting so distracted, and that's why you're not making progress. So in this day and age, it's very easy to become distracted. It can be distracted by just time, like pings on email or on your phone or whatever, or distracted by every shiny little object that comes up. And AI is full of shiny objects today. Like you hear one thing, one model today, and the second model tomorrow, a new model the day after, and sometimes even several models in the same day. It's hard to stay focused. But my point here is this is where I'm trying to encourage you to make sure that you're building a plan and stay focused. But put these, book your time in advance. So book where exactly are the time that you're going to be working on, and make sure that you've got these, I call them learning hours or whatever. Have something in your calendar where you kind of pop up your head and say, okay, let me check what is going on around me, just to make sure that you stay on the path. Because again, you want to continuously be fine-tuning your plan, not distracted, fine-tuning the plan and not getting distracted by every new thing that comes up. But it's good to still keep a track of what is going on around you in case the path has changed and you need to make adjustments to your plan. So there's a little bit of a balance there, but definitely stay focused. And then the final point is stay consistent. And again, if you notice in the story, I said every day. You go back every day and take a swing at the tree every day. Why is that? Because consistency compounds. It's kind of like interest that compounds over time. One of the things, and sometimes you might feel at the beginning that nothing is happening. And it might be frustrating because you're impatient. You want to see something happening the first day or two or 10 while you're still hitting that tree. It feels like, yeah, the tree feels solid and that injury that is on the tree seems so small, but it is compounding and it's getting there. So another, just like something that I wanted to show you so that I can give you an analogy is, for instance, when you take a piece of ice out of the freezer and put it in a cold room, right? Let's say a pool table. The whole room is maybe minus 20. That's for the Canadian folks, so they're talking in degrees. Um, so so in degrees Celsius, the freezing point is 0. And so we're talking in degrees. So you could start at minus 20 and you're raising the temperature 1 degree at a time. Between minus 20 and 0, you'll be staring at the piece of ice and it looks as if nothing is happening. But is there things happening? Absolutely. And this one last degree, all of a sudden the ice starts melting. Another analogy for the folks who have, little kids in their life, either their own kids or nieces or nephews and so on. And if you're teaching them how to ride a bike, and you take off the training wheels and you start kind of running behind them, holding the bike, and every time you let go, they fall on one of the sides and they can't keep their balance. And then there's one day you let go and they are taking off. And you look and you go, oh my goodness, what happened? Like something miraculous happened today. No, that's not the case. The case is every day it's compounding. And then at some point, they kind of figured out the balance and they can stay on their bike. So you don't have to work all day, but you do have to work every day. And it's better to do a little bit of effort every day than to go long hours, lock yourself in a room for a couple of days, and then you're getting so tired that you skip for a week afterwards, because this inconsistency up and down is not going to help you. Building a habit and keeping at it is where you're going to gain the best results. So we never know exactly how long it's going to take you to accomplish your dream, because depending on where you are today and what is your dream. But if you stop, you guarantee that you're not going to get there. So make sure that you apply these 5 principles. So again, what are the 5 principles? Know what you want, take action, right tool, stay focused, and stay consistent. If you do that, I can assure you that you'll be able to accomplish anything, including the topic of today, becoming really knowledgeable in AI and opening up a lot of opportunities for you in this coming era of AI that we're in right now. This is the hottest technology that is out there, and that is, it is the number one skill that is now being asked for. So if I conclude my talk, it would be get yourself in the right mindset, build yourself a skilling plan, a growth skill plan, and then make sure that you are really consistent at achieving your goal. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Magdi. This is definitely amazing tips and wisdom. And I know I love the stories, the frying pan and the tree and the boiler, those were definitely had so many reflections on whatever is happening in the world and whatever is happening with every job seeker and professional today. So thank you so much for sharing those. And again, we'll open up for Q&A. If you guys have any questions you want to ask Magdi, please raise your hand. We'll take turns and we'll get going with your questions. I want to give Magdi a chance to take his breath and take some water. He's been speaking for almost 45 minutes. Thank you so much, Magdi. And definitely we're inspired by the stories and also the actionable insights. I definitely expect you guys to use those resources that Microsoft have for free. And you definitely, it's a journey. You will need some time to put your plan and also focus on your target. As Magdi mentioned, the 3, that folks need to focus on for your target. Any questions? I'll give it maybe a few seconds. Otherwise, I have, some questions that I can ask Magdi. And Magdi, if you wanna maybe stop sharing your screen, then just for everybody to be in camera, that would be great too. Awesome. Okay. I don't see questions so far. So let me maybe ask you, Magdi, about today everybody's scared about AI replacing people. And again, I know that this question, maybe you get it a lot, and so many people have answered that question. And I think what you share today is what people should do in order to avoid that mindset of being replaced by AI. What would you recommend folks, again, based on your experience working with so many big organizations today in upskilling, what they should focus on, how should they, advance in their fields, whatever their fields are, software, infrastructure, or whatever.
Yeah. So Ahmed, this is the number one fear that people have, right? In terms of AI taking over, dominating the world, taking our jobs away. And again, if you think about it, this is always the case with any transformational technology. We've seen it when the cars were introduced a long time ago in the 19th century. When the cars came and they were replacing the horses, there were industries, and every single family. Look, I think the I read a statistic that one in every six families depended completely on the horse in industry. From all sorts of, from the farmers that are growing the hay all the way to the people that are making the wagons, the whips, the whatever, like lots and lots of industries that were going around the horse. And so it was a huge resistance at the time, but the cars came in. And it wasn't just the technology that made this, technology work. It was the safety, it was the speed, it was lots of the different things that made the horse replacement by the cars something that was inevitable. And then the most important part is that if you take a look over the span of, I don't know how many years afterwards, the industry created more jobs than the ones that got eliminated. So it actually made up all the loss, but also created new jobs that did not even exist in the days of the horse, right? So the same thing is going to happen here with AI. There will be a time where people don't know yet what to do with AI, right? And what's happening is we're seeing two sides. We're seeing companies that are so focused on cost efficiencies that every time they can take out any cost, they do it by using AI. And that type of mentality usually means there are layoffs and jobs that are being eliminated. But we're seeing the other side. And the other side means it's all about productivity and opportunity and actually doing more and serving customers better and creating new products and so on and so forth. And this side, I predict, and I'm hearing a lot of big AI leaders all over the world predicting the same thing, is that on this side of the equation, these are the companies that are going to survive. Because the more you keep on eliminating, at some point you're going to eliminate yourself out of a company. And the companies that are going to invest more and build more, those are the ones that are going to take over. So to the question, what do people do? I would say just arm yourself with as much knowledge as possible and become really, really, I would say try to specialize, try to find a niche, try to find something that is not just common. Like even now, of course, you have to say, let's start with generative AI when it comes to prompting. Prompting is not something that you take for granted. You really need to learn it. And once you learn it, it opens up lots of doors. Like I said, this vibe coding is all about prompting again. And if you take a look at, the new tools that are coming out, just to give you an example, Gemini, Google created Gemini Veo. Veo creates videos. Now the video includes sound. So people are starting to create ads and movies and stuff like that. How? Prompting again. So get the basic, the foundational upon which you're going to build. And I think that is going to set you up really well for the future.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Magdi. I think we have a question on the chat. How AI will impact the DevOps industry?
Yeah. So absolutely. So this is the again, it's open for debate, and I cannot say that I've got a crystal ball and I know exactly where it's going to go. Otherwise, I would have been a billionaire and I wouldn't have been sitting with you right now. But what is happening is this whole complete disruption when it comes to development and DevOps, right? So vibe coding is taking the world by storm and creating a lot of people who have never knew how to code before started to code. But this is, again, it has lots and lots of benefits because I'll give you an example again. Somebody has an idea. Let's say somebody who's not a coder today has an idea. How can you get that working out? You either are one of those that will say, okay, I need to start learning, and that means by the time you can implement your idea, it will be a year from now, like we said, or you're going to kind of find somebody who can develop that for you, and that means you'll have to go back and forth explaining what that idea is and so on. And so again, this is a much better model where I can explain it to AI and it can create it. And then I fine tune and say, okay, so maybe that was the wrong context and you fix it. And so all of a sudden you can prototype an idea in, a few days, a few weeks, and it's your idea and you can own it and you can take it. And if you're already working at a company, then this could be your idea that you can take to your leadership and be able to talk to it with authority, as opposed to kind of just describing it with PowerPoints and stuff like that. Where is it going? I have no idea, to be honest, and how far it's going to go. The tools are getting so good and so sophisticated that it can. Microsoft and Google are saying that 30% of their code is now being developed by tools, by AI. And the tools have become so good that they can look at massive, massive amounts of code, all complicated, all linked together now. It's not like they would do little functions and so on like it started. So where is the next level? I have no idea, to be honest. I would be I would be lying if I knew where exactly is it going to end.
Well, thank you so much, Magdi. Again, this was a great session. Tons of wisdom shared, and I know you have, a lot of other work to do, and we're very happy to keep you with us, for more time. But I understand how busy you are. But if you don't mind, can we take a group selfie with you all together? So
I
whoever
love it.
wants to join the camera and be part of the selfie, it's time to turn on your camera. We'll share this on LinkedIn. We'll advertise it, and I'll also share the recording and the links that Magdi shared today. So I'll give it maybe a few seconds for everybody to join the camera, and then I'll change the view to together mode, just to keep everybody who's having their camera on. Okay. Awesome. Anyone else want to join? I'll just say 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Awesome. Thank you so much, Magdi. I can't thank you enough. I know that you're very, very busy. I know we've been, preparing for this for almost a month and more. But thank you so much. This was amazing. I personally learned a lot, and I'm sure, my audience also did the same. Any final thoughts, anything you want to share, just for fresh graduates or for senior people about, how to handle this tough market?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ahmed, for everything. And it was a real pleasure of sharing some of these thoughts with you. As I said, this is not something that is, well undone. I mean, unfortunately, this is a technology. Well, I don't know whether it's unfortunately or fortunately, but this is a technology that is changing every single day. Make sure that you are using smart ways of staying current, as we first said. I actually use a podcast that is called the AI Daily Brief. I'm not sponsoring it or anything else like that, but it's a great podcast that is curates a lot of AI information and provides it in a 20-minute update every single day. So I listen to it every day, and that gives me kind of the wealth of what is going on. And of course, you take notes, and then after that, you can go and do a little bit extra digging later on. But you start getting to know and hear what is going on around in the industry, and then you can keep tabs of it. With that, yeah, again, it was a pleasure doing this, and looking forward to any connections on LinkedIn. And if there's anything I can do to help, I would be happy to do that.
Thank you so much, Magdi. Thank you so much for everything that you've done today. Thank you so much, everybody who joined us. And hopefully this was a great investment of your time. And hopefully we'll see you again, maybe next quarter, Magdi. And we'll be always happy to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
now.